Hey, what does a pretentious engineer know about sales? Well, we're going to find out today. I have a mock sales training call with a friend, Jan. Jan is a co-founder of an application called Konba, which makes learning a new language more accessible through different enhanced community engagement techniques. So we're going to hop on a call with Jan like right now and see how this thing works out. So let me click the app and we'll get to work. Also, I'm going to pretend that I'm somebody else. So this is a focus situational training thing. Let me click the button and see what happens. All right, click that. Go to this view. But the whole goal of this, I'm partnering with two co-founders to help bring their commercial sales from 0 to 10K MRR. I'm also parenting 4 kids. So I got 2 kids upstairs on iPad, a son over here on the Switch, and a baby who's well-fed, changed, and cooing on the ground. But if he gets distraught, then I will pick him up and it'll be fun. But the hope of actually recording these videos is that it's going to give Jan and his co-founder, who you'll meet later, Nathan, an opportunity to learn from one another as they build their confidence to actually step up and position their technology in a way that provides value to people and have those conversations candidly. They've been working on the product for 4 years. They've invested a lot of time and personal financial resources to bootstrap it. But when it comes to getting in front of people and presenting that value and seeing where it matches, it's an area where they're still trying to grow in confidence. So excited to see how it works out. And again, there's a little bit of nerves for the first time, but my hope is to get them 100 laps, which is leads, appointments, presentations, and sales, and see what they can actually start to close in the weeks to come. So this is literally lap number 1. Oh, there's someone here. Anonymous and Jan. Hey, Jan. Participants in the video chat, click to join. Oh. Allow. My name is Joe. For the audio, I want to use Realtek. Let's see, this is my first time. Hey, Jan.
Hey Joe.
Hey, it works. Very cool. Nice to meet you. Well, to
Nice
pretend.
to meet you.
How's it good? And I'm recording. It looks like everything's working with audio and stuff, so we could just run this thing. I do have Akio is fussing
Okay.
in the corner, so I may pick him up. Give me 1 second. Excellent. Let's see how this all works out. Yeah. Have you met? We haven't done a Zoom together yet, right? Or a Konba call. Excellent.
No,
So
we haven't, I don't think.
yeah. So this is Akio. He's 6 months old, so he's our youngest. The 2 oldest
Oh,
are playing iPad upstairs, and then my son's working through Zelda. The newer one, not Breath of the Wild. Ooh, gross. He just got fed milk, so I might get puked on. But yeah, so for today, like this is totally casual. This is your day 0 of building confidence on how to run through laps. I recorded like a really brief intro before going live. So in the event that we want to start putting this out on YouTube to help other people get confidence and selling through your journey, that's something we could play around with. But this situation, which you already read, but again, just to reiterate for folks, if they end up watching this call, or for Nathan, is that I'm an automotive engineer from the UK, preparing to lead a manufacturing line extension in Yokohama. I studied a bit of Japanese in college, but don't feel prepared to casually connect with employees on the line. You reached out because you saw a LinkedIn post that I'm relocating to Japan in 4 months with my family for a 1-year rotation. So we're assuming that I am like a completely cold lead, and now you know I have
right.
family, right? And then you can just run it
Yes,
from there.
exactly.
Yeah, and take me through combo or whatever else you want to do.
Right, okay. Yeah, first of nice to meet you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thanks thanks for getting back to me. Um yeah, are you excited if you have 4 months to go to Japan? How do you feel?
I mean, there's a lot of nerves. It's a big jump for us as a family. I studied a bit of Japanese in college, but holistically, I've never been there. So I think that's kind of the biggest jump. I know I got into automotive knowing that there's always opportunities to rotate to different areas. So we signed up for it, but I still got to see how it all pans out.
Right. Yeah, I know how it was before I first came to Japan. Well, before I moved, I visited Japan as a tourist.
Oh, really?
So I had some idea what it's like
Mhm.
to be here.
Yeah.
But I know it can be a bit intimidating, given that, the culture is very different, the language is very different. Uh, so I understand how you're feeling. And you're moving with family too. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big deal for sure.
Yeah. Do you have a family as well, or did you move out solo?
I moved out solo. No, yeah, my mother doesn't like to fly, so it's only me.
Awesome. So has she come out at all, or any other friends or family?
No, no,
Or
no.
not?
She never visited me. No.
Yeah. Yeah, it's challenging. We're a lot of our family's apprehensive as well, just about navigating the distance. So we'll see how it works out.
Right. Well, how are you feeling right now? Do you feel stressed about moving or?
Yeah, the company actually has a pretty good package with it. So it's a mix of stressed and like also kind of contentment with just navigating the process. So it's a larger manufacturing supplier, so it's not like Toyota or Honda, but we do a lot of work for these different clients. So we have an entire like relocation team. So as soon as you're positioned for the or selected for the role, it kicks off an entire string of process and partners that are actually helping us find like housing in the region. They help with all the visa support. There's even a tax equalization team, so they make sure that I don't experience like an increase in taxes. So they offset my base pay and will help with paying taxes to Japan and the UK. It's so there's a lot of service
Oh,
and business momentum behind the transition. I think for me personally, it's just making sure my wife gets well connected, that we could find the right community, and also for the work itself, I have good rapport with some of the people that I'll be partnering with because I've been working the job remotely. Most of the conversation, the vast majority, is in English, but I want to make sure that I could make them feel like there's equity in the partnership. So I have been brushing up on Japanese a little bit to prepare for the role, but I don't feel good at it. If that makes sense.
you feel do you struggle with um do you struggle with speaking Japanese? Or where are you at in your Japanese learning journey?
Yeah, so I studied for 3 semesters in college. I felt like I got progressively worse at it. So I'm pretty strong with the overall grammatical structure of Japanese, but then I sound fluent enough that if I speak well, then people perceive that they can speak back to me at the same cadence. And I don't, I have very like limited vocabulary. So I can initially breach in and connect well and sound fluent, and then I fall off this cliff where I actually just haven't put in enough reps to push into like the intermediate level, if that makes sense. But I sound way better than a
Mm,
beginner. But when it comes to, again, having kind of that equitable partnership, they have to meet me in English terms more than I can meet them in a Japanese context. So it's always been a
I
one
see.
sided partnership.
So you're kind of stuck at the intermediate level,
Mhm.
and you feel you need to go a bit higher to be able to talk to your peers in your company.
Yeah. Yeah. I have, like, for language, I have these tracks, like, that I can follow the track and know where the conversation goes and they're safe. And then as soon as I get off on a different track, I'm gone. So if I want to order food from a restaurant, or share that I used to study Japanese in college, but I'm still not good at it, like I can say all of those tracks very well. But then it's when I start to depart into the casual spaces a conversation would normally go, I lose my way, if that makes sense. So it's the recognition, like the vocabulary recognition, and then being able to carry the conversation farther down the road.
Yeah, I feel that. I remember, or like, I know that for me, when I had a conversation, I would understand most of it. And then suddenly, if there are words I don't understand, it went all over my head. It happens really quickly with Japanese, especially, I feel.
Yeah.
It's just of the way the word sounds, chu suru, like to focus. It's like to get used to those sounds, having so much meaning.
Yeah.
It can get over one's head easily, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's
I
really
agree.
interesting. Yeah. So are you at the point of fluency since your journey coming out in Japan, or is it still a work in progress for you as well?
I would say it's still a work in progress. I'm getting there.
Excellent.
But it helps to live here and talk to people, of course. Like the immersion. I feel is very important.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I'm getting there. I also want to get to the business level for sure.
Okay. Excellent. I don't know if I aspire that far yet because it's a 1 year rotation. We'd be open to extension beyond it, and the job's already going to be very demanding. So I think I just want to be realistic with my skill set. I know some people will actually fully focus on language before they jump into it, and I already have enough rapport to start the work, but I do want to continue the learning journey in context. So anything I could do to proactively prepare for as well as doing all the logistics and taking care of the family and doing the job remote, like it's got to fit in a small pocket, right? But
Right.
yeah, I've just been working on Duolingo mainly. It's just trying to go through it. It's not perfect, but it keeps me moving forward.
So you've mostly been using Duolingo.
Yeah.
I see. Is your wife also using Duolingo? Is she trying to learn Japanese as well?
She doesn't have any background in it, so Japan's just something where she's open to the experience, but she's gonna be kind of stuck behind walls in the international community in the beginning. Um, so I was thinking about moving her towards it, but she hasn't indicated much passion. I think she's still focused on how to get the kids to out of school and things like that. But if there's a casual way for her to start building confidence, that might be the first path. She just doesn't have the academic rigor interest that I had in college, so I haven't pushed it with her.
I see. Do you think Duolingo can get you over the hump that you want to reach?
No. No, it's helpful for just vocabulary acquisition, which is one of my biggest gaps. But there's something different about working with their little avatars and hearing it and replying to it versus actual conversation. But when I'm on a Zoom call with my partners on the manufacturing line and we're trying to solve problems quickly, they default to English because we can just push through it faster. So that's not a time for me to also stretch my language ability besides the casual connections and the otsukara desu and things like that. I think I haven't had a context to be able to actually push into the conversation competency the way I'd like.
I see. One thing I've been thinking of is creating a language learning community that would help you connect to other native speakers that you can talk to and practice speaking along like lines of conversations that are not strict, right? Because an app has this fixed curriculum.
Yeah.
Do you would you feel comfortable talking to other people directly, or do you feel a bit too shy right now?
Japanese people or English Americans?
Japanese people.
Japanese people directly. I think so. I mean, I could initially break into conversation. So is it an application or how does the community connect? Can you provide me more context on what it looks like? Like, is it just a Facebook group?
That's a good question. No, it's like a school community.
School.
I don't know if you ever heard of it. But no, basically, you know how many people get fluent when they live abroad?
Uh-huh.
And we kind of want to mimic that experience online.
Okay.
So we kind of want to help you live abroad digitally
Mm.
for the time that you're free and you want to study.
Okay.
So so it's basically about you connecting with other native speakers, and in the same kind of tool that we're using right now to talk,
Mhm.
you can use to connect with other Japanese people and try to have the conversations
Okay.
that you would have at your job.
Okay.
So,
Could you help me understand? First of all, this is very interesting. So I appreciate the context. I'm still trying. I don't know if I fully understand yet. But even for this tool we're using where I logged into Konba, there's, I mean, a lot of familiarity to other streaming tools that I'm familiar with. What would make this helpful at enhancing those conversations? How would I actually
so
connect with Japanese fluent speakers and kind of find a middle ground as we both grow?
how do you connect with native speakers? Um, so this is something uh, I would say. mm,
And it's okay. I'm pushing you, Jan. You're doing good.
yeah. That's so good. um, like that's also something I'd say I want to figure out.
Hmm.
So I want to allow you to have conversations with more structure and about the context that you want to talk about.
Mm.
And I want to find ways to make this to facilitate this on Konba. So if you can give me the type of conversations you would like to have, then I can create certain activities
Oh,
around
really?
it on this tool.
Okay.
And you can just try it out and see if it works for you.
Okay.
So, for example, if you have like the business meeting, and you talk about presentation about some technical things, you can just upload this PDF here on Konba
Really?
and talk to the other person about it.
So I
And
can
then you
just
can
drag
see
a
kind of where you're
PDF into
getting
this?
stuck. Yeah, that's right.
You said something. Let me see if I can
You-
find a PDF. I'm sure I have one
Yeah.
somewhere.
Otherwise, I also would have a PDF if you wanna.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you have
Let's
one,
go
that
with
would be
what you
great.
have because you'll probably be able to get one up.
Okay, sure,
One-on-one
sure.
post
So
me.
I'll just choose any PDF and I'll just drag and drop it in,
Okay.
and now we can change the view.
Oh, so you have these
And
little
now,
pages at the top. So 1 and 2 are empty, but then I can go to the third one.
right,
Okay. That's nice.
exactly. And we both control it, right?
Huh.
So it's not like screen sharing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if it's a bit too demanding, but can you read what it says here? I know it's
Uh,
Japanese,
yeah,
but
yeah. Kanji, kanji, kara, kanji, kanji, ni ka. Watakus. Satato, apuo.
right.
My kanji's still a little weak, so I'm working on it. I know the base structure
Yeah,
and hiragana well.
I understand it can be a bit intimidating, but
Mhm.
I'm sure that happens as well in your presentations at work, right?
Yep.
If they have Japanese work documents, they're full of kanji. Um, if you get stuck and you kind of want to ask what kanji are, the other person can write them down. So let's go with Shibuya kara.
Uh,
So we have a chat here as well, right?
yep. Yeah, I
Um,
can see that.
so I can give you the furigana right away.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. You should see them. Do you see the romaji or do you see the
I see
hiragana?
kanji right now. And then I see it in shoot, what's the word? I see it in Romaji.
Okay, perfect. You
Yeah.
can toggle this if you know the hiragana already, and you can translate them as well.
How are we
So
doing that?
if
How do I translate that? Like if I want to write in Japanese
okay,
right now.
I did this for you. So basically, you right click on the message,
Uh-huh.
and then you see a little menu popping up,
Yeah.
and then there's a translate button.
What's the unicorn do?
The unicorn is our AI integration. So if you write a question in the chat and then click on the unicorn, it'll answer you.
What?
So
Okay.
if you don't have a native speaker around in that moment.
Okay, ちょっと待って one second. I don't know how to spell it correctly. I'm playing with it. Sheet. So let me try this. Okay, so I could write Nihongo Hanashi, so speaking in Japanese, I think, and then I could do Fuigana. Okay, so then I get the Romaji under it.
Right.
I can translate it, speak Japanese. Oh, so yeah, that's great. That is so cool. And then if I wanted
you want,
oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jan.
No, please.
So if I wanted to use your AI thing, I could just type any question.
Right. Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm typing with one hand because I have a child. One second. Let's see. Where should I live in Yokohama? Click enter, and then I just right click and do the unicorn.
Right.
Consider living in areas like Minato, Mirai. Oh, I've been looking at Minato, Mirai. You know, mix of convenience, quality. So is this using like a GPT functionality?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we have that GPT integration.
That's really cool. Wow. Yeah, can I try pulling in a PDF? Oh, go ahead, Jan. Sorry.
Oh no, please feel free to play around with it.
So I can just take a PDF because I want to try it. I could drag a PDF right onto the whiteboard and it just makes another page. Or do I have to click the plus?
So I think ideally you want to drag and drop it into the chat.
Ah, the chat. Okay, let me try that.
Yeah. It actually might work if you drag and drop it into the whiteboard as well. I'm not 100% sure.
No worries. It looks like you're still building this, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't look like it's working from my end. It might just be a me issue. Okay, so maybe I got it. It's a PDF.
Is it a big PDF?
It might be. It's got 5 pages and a lot of colors. Does the file size matter right now? It's 7 megabytes. Is that too large?
No, if it was like 400 pages with all the colors, then it sometimes doesn't work.
Oh, I have an error that Konba disconnected, so maybe I broke it.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it says you're disconnected. Huh. Now you should be back.
Right, let me try again. Thanks for the flexibility. One more time.
I'll write it down as something to look at.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so it doesn't work on my end, but I believe you from what I've seen on yours. So feel free to continue.
Okay.
But in the future, I'd like to try that out.
Yeah. So basically, because I know it, I think that speaking is the most intimidating and most difficult part. So basically, I want to facilitate using this tool and tailor it to make it easier for you to get used to speaking, to reduce those barriers, right? So both through, the visuals, through using your cursor, if you just want to point at something, and through translating things in the chat as well. So you can kind of ease into conversations when you maybe don't have any tools there, right?
Okay. So if I were, so I'm not using this platform for actual lessons. Then when you're talking about community, I would be meeting with someone else who's interested in growing in English and Japanese, like bilingual dialogue. Would that be the main goal?
You can use it for lessons as well. It basically depends on what you want. We would allow you, if you want, just to join the community, or you can have like a personal sessions with teachers as well here
Mm-hmm.
on Konba. If you really want to focus down in those like 4 months. And if you want to give it a try of how it's like with a teacher, I can just connect you to one and you can try it out for free if you want.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting. I like that. Awesome. Well, this guy fell asleep, so I think
So cute.
I know. I think I'm almost at time. Do you
Are
have
you
anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
now? Are you allowed to move now, or do you need to stay like this?
I am kind of stuck. Every time I try to lay him down, he wakes back up, which is it's just such a challenge. But I do a lot of my work with one hand now in this season because my wife's also working. So she does a lot online. So we take turns between the kids. Three of them go off to school soon. We're ready for summer to be over so that we can jump back into other things.
I see. I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
Let's let's stay in touch, and I'll maybe send you over the information for a teacher if you just want to try a free lesson. You
Yeah.
can tell me how it goes.
Excellent. No, very good. Awesome.
All right, love it.
So
All
so
right,
we'll end that. So Jan, actually, this is normal Joe talking now, not
okay.
not UK
Normal
Joe.
Joe.
Yeah, so I was thinking about, recording these, adding a whole bunch of edits, and then doing it after the fact. But I think actually just doing it fresh, capturing it here would be really helpful to give you some feedback. First of all, for day 0 or day 1, like incredible start because we only started, we only worked on the whiteboard for a school community 2 days ago. 3, I forget exactly when we met. So it is
Mm,
okay that you don't have like a very strong value driven rhythm yet on how you immediately captivate someone to the value Konba brings, the value the community brings, how the pieces work together. Like it's still a concept we're optimizing together across that trifecta of unmet need, technical feasibility, and commercial viability. But
right.
there's so much here with Konba. Like there's so much potential. So some notes that I would have, just we'll kind of work through these incrementally as quick as I can, and then we'll keep doing these exercises. I'm thinking 10, like we'll make our target 10 initially as you still try to go out and follow your own leads. Um, where should I start? First of all, you're a great conversationalist, so it's fun talking with you, and you genuinely seem interested in me as a client, which is a great start. Like if you're sitting, like I'm trying to give you um, I hate sports analyses, like teeing things up, like for t-ball. It's like a thing that's common in baseball. If like you put the
Yeah,
ball on a tee
right,
so you could hit it.
right.
I was trying to just tee like little soft things to see how you would pull from it, because you might go into a call with a cold person, you have no rapport, and they're not going to give you any of that necessarily, especially if they're
Mm,
busy. Like a lot of people might be guarded if they think this is sales. So you have to quickly establish some common ground. I see you have a lot of books behind you. What are you reading? Or for me, like I don't know how much my background gives you. There's a picture of Totoro over my shoulder. Or you did a lot with the family and the baby dynamic. Like if you can't form a human connection quickly, you can't progress
mm,
down the pathway to exploring where you could add value or meaning. And as we keep chatting, there's like a whole bunch of like magic words and pathways and things we'll uncover that you'll just learn there's certain things you can repeat in dialogue to pull the conversation forward. But I genuinely enjoyed connecting with you for a sales call that was exactly like 28 minutes, and we made it through. I think we stayed in the beginning section of like building rapport a little bit longer than necessary, and then you started to get into the presentation of content after asking a lot of questions on like looking for pain points or what's the challenge. Like I think you did a very good job there. We're going to work on getting even tighter, if that makes sense, because then they'll feel
mm.
like there's a momentum and energy to the call, and we want to capture that naturally. So again, this is all, we're going to stay in the constructive space, right? This is day 0. What else? One of the things that a lot of like in-person sales do for any kind of like luxury value brands, high-end cars, is they try to have you touch it as quickly as possible. So sending a Konba link and joining on Konba was actually very fluid because the interface to get to the call was really easy on my end. I just pick my camera and my microphone and I'm in. I'm not necessarily in a mindset of comparing or baselining it against Zoom, but rather I can get in and be like, oh, there's a smaller version of the person I'm talking to. There's this chat feature. Where's the whiteboard? But like I could kind of use it. So I think because this is my first time navigating the GUI. The GUI's easy enough to actually set up the intro call on Konba instead of Zoom, which wasn't what I expected. So like when we meet with Dylan in the future, I'd like to do the same structure and make a Konba link if that's possible. The one thing though is I don't think you got me using or touching it quickly enough. Like for me, we sat in this room as opposed to providing some context. And we'll go through when we go through the actual formal training. The first part of the series is just really having that intense intellectual curiosity. Like, who is this person? What are their challenges? What do you know from the research you did on LinkedIn? What can you assume about an expat relocating? Eventually, as we do, I'm going to do a lot more of those kinds of case studies because I think that's a good niche for this application in the community. When a business is relocating a person, there are certain processes that get kicked off. Every business has different processes and support network, but like one of the pathways that I would want you to get on eventually, if like you sold the community, you sold the Konba app, I was convicted about it and wanted to try it. When you're trying to find price point, it'd be like, do you think is your company actively supporting your language learning right now? That's like, I think that's the turning point conversation question we want to get to. Is this person's clearly already learning Japanese on their own? Are they paying out of pocket, or is the business supporting it as an expense? Because $400 a month as an expense is actually very low for certain businesses trying to upskill global employees. J&J invested a huge amount in me getting like formal language training, which I actually thought was worse than what I got in college. That's another conversation. Like I didn't think they got the return on the value they paid for. So if the answer was yes, then there's a pathway of, do you think they would support you joining a language learning community if it could increase your confidence connecting with members of the team? Is that something you would want help with us to position that request to your business unit? Because they might not be familiar with this model of learning. So you have to kind of sidestep it of this is a different kind of expense, but it's adjacent. We're comparing it to just traditional language learning. But instead you're getting access to native speakers to converse. So that's one of the side steps. But if they say no, if they're like, well, no, I'm paying for all this myself, be like, then you try to look at a value shift of, well, do you think it would be more valuable to be able to learn in community through casual conversation versus a traditional sensei school structure, or through Duolingo? I gave you Duolingo as a competitor comparison as well, right? And then from there, if you can get an equal value swap and can start to figure out, well, how much are you paying per month? Can I be candid? Like you could say, like, can I be a little bit candid? Like, how much are you paying per month for your current language learning? Are you doing it in person? Are you doing it over Zoom? How much value does it give you? Do you feel like you're making progress? Like really lock in on those little pain moments. And then from there, well, we're positioning this school, right? We're starting this community that allows people to connect, leverage this technology infrastructure, and we're providing them a roadmap of conversation starters so that people feel like they could enter a room with a stranger and just start working into those uncomfortable spaces together. Together, we celebrate making mistakes as we learn. Find like a culture push there. We have to figure out how to brand that, right? Because especially as you sell to the Japanese partners who want to learn English, that's the biggest piece, is kind of like overcoming the perfectionism to become a more natural conversationalist. I think for English speakers, it's a little bit less heightened. We naturally are used to just, Americans are a bull in a china shop sometimes, right? If we generalize, like, so I think those are just kind of your initial hints that I'll see where you take that in future conversations as we keep practicing, right? But overall, really strong footing. And when we meet, my son's having fun. I got an alert that my microphone seems noisy. That's so funny. Did you program that?
No, I did not.
Oh, that's so funny. Amazing. Kai, settle down, buddy. But we'll give you space to keep trying it. Do you have any questions, or like, how is that process for you, doing your first mock cold call versus doing it live with a stranger?
Um, yeah, I had one weird misconception, which I don't even know why I thought that, but I thought for some reason I thought we were simulating meeting in person. So I didn't
Oh,
even so I didn't even think of letting you try out Konba because I was like, oh no, actually we're in person,
got it.
right? So it's
Yeah,
kind of the moment you brought up was, okay, of course, like we're actually in the tool, even in the simulation,
yeah,
right? Uh, so then I realized, oh yeah, I should not translate those things. I should let you play around with that as much as possible.
yeah.
Um, so
And
so you're totally right.
yeah, and I love that you asked me to read the words, because it actually gives you a baseline of where am I as a Japanese learner. Like if you're assuming you're talking to someone
Mm,
who's global trying to come to Japan and learn Japanese as their initial target, you're like, he can't get through kanji, but he's at Romaji, but he sounds fluent. And it allows you to quickly figure out what's my gap to push me a level. Like you also have to think about a new language learner as well. So I think it's beautiful because you
right.
present this PDF, and some people preparing for a move are going to be like, oh wow, I can't navigate that on my own. The other area that I forgot if you had the feature set for a PDF is if I could like highlight with my cursor, like drag a magic box over it and have it convert it. Like I do a lot of that with my Google Lens. You don't need to develop this feature right now, but as you discuss, yeah, I saw smirk, so you probably don't have it yet.
Nate already heard you. I think I hear the keyboard in California clicking right now.
I know we're not doing any more tech development. We're selling what we have so we can make it better, right? Once we get this pre-sales, then yes. But when you're walking me through that document, you could start to ask questions like, if you had a PowerPoint you're working through with some partners, what are the kinds of
Mm,
features you would imagine or desire so that your team could connect more fluently? Are all of your slides bilingual right now? Are you presenting in English to partners in Japanese? Is it difficult for you when you're joining a call from your Japanese associates where it's all in Japanese? Be like, we've been thinking about provide adding features that allow us to highlight a region or circle a region and tell you immediately what it is
mm.
without you having to interrupt the call or translate in the chat. Like you can future push where the technology will follow based on user acceptance. Because someone will be like, oh my gosh, that would be absolutely incredible. Like I've been in so many meetings. I personally have been in so many meetings, right? We talked a little bit about this. Um, so again, these are all the little areas of like user stories that you can start to see ahead and figure out how to position. So I'll keep teeing stuff up like that. Um, the other thing we might want to work on is for the sales presentation. That one pager is helpful. It might be helpful to have another one as well, or additionally other ones that are more optimized. Um, for instance, when I was building a VR application and trying to pitch and sell that to VPs and senior leadership, it was an MVP, which means it's not complete. It's minimally viable product, right? It was only working off a PC. It wasn't didn't have the cloud infrastructure. I was pitching to get $3 million worth of funding for that kind of development. And when they entered the user interface, there are certain aspects of controls that we just didn't develop because we needed to show the minimally viable concept. So there's two clunky pain points. And I would actually I made a slide that would show it and explicitly show the controls and highlight it, not to hide it or mask it, but because when I gave the demo, I noticed that 60 to 70% of people got hung up with that, and I had to retroactively explain it, and it got messy. And then it started to detract their perception of value. So when I found that, and this is, I'm kind of leading into the
Right.
screen share. When I discovered that, then I added that slide and I'd say, this is still in development. This is a minimally viable product. It runs on this PC. We want you to be able to experience it. There's a clunky aspect of the GUI that we would fix down the road. So I want to show you right now with the controller, this is how you navigate this well. Taking that proactive 8 seconds before they test drive it allowed it to feel smooth the whole time. And a lot of times when we're positioning products, we want to create the perception of smoothness, even if there's bumps in the road. So learning how to sell something that's imperfect is an area where you and Nate, I think, are going to grow a lot, because any product should start imperfect, but you can still sell and then optimize on the back end once you have the revenue coming, right? So
Yeah. One thing I wanted, but I don't think I did a good job. But one thing I want to emphasize more, like that it's something that I kind of how I want to use the tool, and that I want to make it better, like with them,
yeah.
kind of.
Oh,
That
that's
it's
really
kind
good.
of like, yeah, it's not, but it's kind of like, here, this is the basis, this is currently what it can, and let's make it strong. But I don't have that mental clarity about how to think or how to communicate that.
Well, and there's two different conversations, and sometimes they can happen in parallel. And this is actually what you're going to experience when we meet with Dylan a little bit. The first is you're starting cold, you're progressing someone towards a pre-sale of a community or a product, because we're still figuring out where Konba goes down the 3 paths, right? But then when we're developing technology, we also do what's called a concept and usability. So we have high fidelity concepts, high fidelity prototypes. I think at this point we can say Konba is a high fidelity prototype, even as you as programmers might not, where there's areas or gaps. So we always feel like something's not to the highest fidelity, but for someone coming in that can see you translate in chat, or that AI is integrated, or that eventually there's this feature that we could develop to lasso and translate, that feels high fidelity. So concept of usability, you bring someone into a room, you tell them the vision of your product or what the concept's supposed to do, let them use the concept, and then understand the gap. Does this minimally viable product deliver on the concept that we've presented to you, or is something dissident? And in that, you'll normally find quick features that you can optimize to kind of push it to the moon. Or does this create X amount of value? A lot of times with medical devices, when we're improving our stapling technology or robotics tools, like one of the questions we use near the end of a concept and usability is, would these increases, like these additional features, provide enough, an improved clinical outcome that would justify a premium cost point? Would you pay premium for this versus the existing stapler you have? Because everyone wants more features at the same price. Like, that's never going to go away. But as you can't develop more features for the same price in certain applications. So for a concept and usability, if we're gathering that feedback, like, does this provide more value than your current language training? Would you consider paying premium for a community that has this ecosystem or these instruments that enhance your learning, right? That's what you want to try to pull out, as opposed to, well, yeah, let me give you access and you can use it for free. We actually want to limit access and try to perceive where is the value that someone would jump through a hoop to get your product, and then push them from there. Give them the test drive and the call, and then lock it. And then because your model's been always give licenses for free. So you haven't sold anything because it's always free. So I think we have to see, are they willing to jump to a paid level? And if so, don't then give them free right off the bat. Help them perceive the value, if it's high enough or not.
Right.
Yeah. We'll keep playing with that as well. But I don't know, is that helpful context? Is this a good first run?
Can I tell you a bit more about how I
of course. Yeah, of course.
So one thing I noticed was, well, kind of the idea and the exact concept of the community is still somewhat a black hole. So I kind of then started to then kind of go into more details about this, right? Because like, I want to be excited about it, but if there are things I don't know, I'm like, it was just like something like, God damn it, I don't know how to overcome this. Right now. So that's what felt difficult. And also, well, with that, I feel I also didn't have any clearer description of what it would be like. I felt it was a bit too vague.
Yes, it's very vague in the first
kind
call.
of repeated too often, like, oh, native speaker. It's like, I don't think that it's yeah, it felt like that's not the right things to say.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine you can talk to natives, like it's not exciting.
Yeah.
Um, so I felt there was some things to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean I loosely tried to follow like this closer methodology, but then I know one step of it is kind of this make the other person like imagine the holiday, right? Kind of
Mm-hmm.
what it would be like. I couldn't I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know. It just felt very weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't even know. Like to from the conversation we had to kind of jump to like Joe. Now imagine like if you were fluent in Japanese, or like I don't know. I just couldn't. I
Mm-hmm.
felt I'm not actually sure where the problem is
Yeah.
in me trying if it's kind of the change of energy or just uh, that I'm not sure what I would say
Yeah.
regarding like where would the holiday be.
Yeah. I
Um,
think that, well, I could answer. Well, I wouldn't have the audacity to say I have an answer to that. I think you did a really good job of kind of hunting for some pain points and understanding the journey. Like empathetic listening was going great. Um, One thing you may want to add even to these calls is just like a quick note of like, hey, is it okay if I take some notes on this discussion, so that they feel like you're studying
mm,
them even more, like they see your hand moving or they hear like some light clinking, like you type quietly or something like that, just so that they feel like you really want to understand what they're navigating. So I think you did a great job doing that, which helped me feel like you understood my current state. Someone was actually taking the time to reach out to me proactively on LinkedIn, understand what I'm navigating as I prepare for this big jump,
mm,
figuring out if there's any challenges. Like I'm on Duolingo, like you knew all the pieces of me. That that moment you're talking about, that celebration, if I had to like turn it into a turning point sentence from our whiteboard discussion, be like, could you imagine a state where for 15 minutes during lunch you could see 20 different people that are native Japanese speakers in Japan send one a quick message and hop on a call with a focused exercise to just stretch your ability to do a sales call or a marketing update or a mock travel experience with some AI and image. I forgot the word, but with some tools that enabled that connection to occur seamlessly with limited effort and maximum output. Like give them a very succinct future state of the power of community plus the technology, plus you providing them kind of a map or roadmap for them to be able to stretch themselves into natural conversations across those native boundaries. That would be kind of that celebration moment, kind of handing them a future state they can't see because they're used to, oh, I go through this Duolingo app and it gamifies my journey, and then I hop on a call and they're always accommodating me in Japanese. I'm stuck in this loop. I don't have the time to work with a language teacher on focus lessons to get there. But hey, if you could give me 15 minutes a day to hop on a call casually with someone in this community, and the infrastructure enables us to connect across language more fluently where there's gaps so we just get better at it. That's the
mm.
value prop, right? That would be like the anchor you give them of let them see that we don't want them to just see Konba as a tool or community. They have to see that you're accelerating their language acquisition and confidence through community. And you've built an ecosystem for that, right? But
Mm,
but as you think on that and figure out how a person progresses, right? We have all those little bubbles on a whiteboard that weren't fully baked. It's still like a gooey brownie. As you
right,
as
right.
you mock up the concept more, as you refine that concept, and as you pitch it more, you'll start to figure out where it provides the most value. I did a digital concept and usability for my VR application. He's so excited. And it radically changed my talk track because I realized people cared more about continuity of insights from the Japanese market more than they cared about a top tier VR I can't use all these words because it's not public. The top tier experience. I'll stop there. So like,
Right. Okay.
right. So I think part of it is like as you do laps, you will just build confidence because you don't know what to say on this first call. That's normal. You won't know what to say on the second one and the third one, especially if I flip the scenario to I'm running an international school network in Hungary and we have 200 teachers, 50% of them work remotely. And we heard about Konba. We'd love to know more. That's a totally different B2B sales model. So you're going to have to flip to figuring out how does Konba provide value in that context, right? So as you keep working these different pathways and stretching yourself this way, eventually you'll be able to actually
Yeah.
enter those conversations with greater strength and confidence. And that'll also give you more pricing power on the back end of the call. Whereas right now, your pricing power was 0 because you gave me free access. Go try it out, right? As opposed to ending that conversation with, this community is going to cost around $400 a month, which is comparable to what you're already paying for language learning. Is that something you think your company would want to support as an expense? Or is that something you feel comfortable in pursuing? We're pre-enrolling people. We have a wait list. You can pay a deposit, which is fully refundable. And then we're going to build out the feature set and launch the community in about a month. Does that work with your lead times? Right. So that's pricing power at the end of a conversation. We never got there today. Right. And it's because you have a certain pathway, from the connections you've made in the past to position Konba.
Right. Right.
Where you hand people a link. We'll work on it.
Yeah.
But I think really strong start. I'm proud of you for just stepping out into it. It's going to be uncomfortable until you prove to yourself success. And then eventually you'll be able to step into a room and just have total contentment, whether you get rejected because it's not the right fit or whether someone lights up and is excited because you've just unlocked something for them with what you've built over the last 4 years, right? You're going to have both and that'll keep you motivated.
Right. Right.
Cool. Any other
thank you so much,
thoughts?
Joe.
Yeah. I'll stop the recording and then we could chat about other logistics and stuff. So give me 1 second.